Hi, this is Nikki, and I am doing part 2 of my CGM comparison, and no medical advice whatsoever, all personal experience and lots of personal opinion. And this is part 2. This is the G6, the Libre 1, the Guardian 3 version 2.2, the Guardian Connect, and Eversense Senseonics. In the last one, I discussed accuracy and lag and life. In this one, I'd like to kind of talk a little bit about kind of what makes these sensors either high maintenance or low maintenance. First up is charging the transmitter. And I'm just going to look really quick. Charging the transmitter. Okay. Only G6. The G6 is the only one that does not require any kind of charging. The transmitter is good for 3 months and then it's trash. But you don't actually have to charge, you don't have to take anything off and charge it. The Libre, there is no transmitter, but you must charge the reader. And as long as the reader is on the charger, you can't access the values. So that is the only thing about the Libre. If there's anything about the Libre that makes it a little higher maintenance, it has to do with that. The Guardian 3, you must charge the transmitter between uses, as well as replace batteries in the transmitter charger every few months. That part's not a big deal, but you do have to remember to do it. And the charging between uses is a little bit bigger of a deal, only because sometimes it doesn't make it all the way to the end of one sensor's life, because it's one more thing to do. Same is true for the Guardian Connect. Only, interestingly enough, the Guardian Connect did not seem to make it 7, I think with my Guardian 3, I was making it 7 or 8 days before I needed to charge. The Guardian Connect on average was 5 to 6 days. So there was a noticeable difference. I'm not really sure why that was. Senseonics, the transmitter requires charging every 24 hours. So every 24 hours, you got to take it off and throw it on the charger. And this was one of my problems with Senseonics. There was lots of little things I had to do that I wasn't up for. Okay, signal. I think G6 maybe is the loser on signal. Again, I don't really have a lot of problems with it, so I can't speak personally, but I hear a lot of people talk about drop signals. Once you get into control IQ or basal IQ, if you lose your signal for longer than 15 minutes, you lose control IQ or basal IQ. So there is a significant consequence, so you really do want your signal. And that's that. Again, I don't have that problem, but I've heard some people who have really struggled with it. The G6, the Guardian 3, the Guardian Connect, and Senseonics, all of those, if you lose the signal, it will backfill the values once you're back at range, which is nice, but it doesn't really help you at that moment when you look down. The Libre, I don't think can lose a signal. So that might be wrong, but I don't think it can lose a signal. So I'm not going to explain why that, in case I am wrong. Okay. Extending. G6, I think, is the best for extending. The Libre and the Senseonics, there is no extending, so that knocks them out. The Guardian Connect, I was able to restart it. So I know the potential is there, but it was like, it just floundered, it died within a couple of days, and it wasn't very good for a couple of days. So it was basically a useless extension, but the potential was there, and I think it was the only one I tried. So it's possible that could be done. The Guardian 3, I know I could extend it. I couldn't get much from an extension, and in general, people say maybe a couple of days. There's an occasional Kelly, my friend Kelly, who got like 25 days or 40 days or something like that one time. But in general, I think it's probably a few days that you can get from it. The G6, on the other hand, that puppy can go for a while. Consistently, people talk about getting an extra 15 to 20 to 25 days. And although they keep, I don't know if I'm allowed to be saying all this, although they keep changing the transmitter IDs, the diabetics out there keep figuring out how to crack it. So I do not think yet, despite there being reports that people can't get a certain transmitter ID to restart, I don't actually think that's been the case. I think they've found a restart for all of them. So that's really good. And I think it's a really good, solid value. You know, I mean, it's a good extension. It's not a crappy one. Calibrations. Okay, G6, again, none required. That's awesome. Libre, none required. That's awesome. Senseonics, 2 a day. Guardians, 2 a day. Those are not awesome. The reason they're not awesome is because for the Guardian 3, they're too tough calibrations. On the old transmitter, they used to be way tougher. So I will say on the 2.2, it was way more reasonable. But there were still tough calibrations. I mean, you had to do some thinking. You had to be very careful. It was like walking on eggshells. The Guardian Connect was better. But I will say, well, this is what I said. I said without access to an iSig. So they dropped you being able to read the iSig on the Guardian Connect. And a lot of people got used to using their iSig to see whether or not it was a good time to calibrate. So without access to an iSig, calibrating is more straightforward, meaning you just put it in and it either accepts it or it doesn't. But it also takes away the ability to manipulate the process or even to determine if it's a good time to try it. Because you get 2 sensor fails and you're out, or 2 strikes and you're out. Okay, with the Guardian Connect, however, of 36 calibration attempts, 4 failed during the regular sensor life. And that was 11%, while an additional 5 or 14% occurred on an extended sensor. So 11% failed when there was no good reason for them to fail. In comparison, on the G6 in a year and a half, I think I've had one fail. So that's a huge difference. The Libre, it doesn't ever ask, it doesn't need it. Senseonics is, it's very easy to calibrate, but the calibration takes 15 minutes. So you put in your number, and I think it's a full 15 minutes till it's available. And it just requires these 2 calibrations per day. And the consequence to not calibrating on time for the Guardian 3, Guardian Connect, and Senseonics is that you lose access to your sensor reading. Whereas with the G6, if you were to go the option that let's say you wanted to extend your sensor and you don't have a code, so you use no code, which means that it's required that you calibrate twice a day. Even though it's required, it's not really required. So you could just not calibrate twice a day and it will continue to give you a sensor reading the entire time. And from that sensor reading, it will continue to run basal IQ and control IQ and everything else. So it's a really awesome, it's just an awesome calibration thing. It's like, yeah, you can use it to tighten it up, but we're not going to make you do it. And we're not going to penalize you if you can't or won't or whatever. So the calibrations are a big deal. And I do think that Medtronic's next sensor, I can't remember which one the next one is, they're trying to get 1 calibration at the start of it, and then the next sensor after that, they're hoping for no calibrations. And come on, Medtronic, you know what I'm saying? Like, you got to get there. Okay, errors. Guardian 3 was like error city for me. Some of the errors included lost sensor, calibration not accepted, BG not received, sensor updating, change sensor, cannot find sensor signal, no calibration occurred. Right behind them, I think probably comes G6. And I will say that, again, I don't have a lot of problems with errors or with any of these, but signal loss alert, yeah, that one can happen. No readings alert, I don't really know what the difference is, but yes, that can happen. And sensor error alert. In general, those have to do, I think I get those when my sensor is basically dead. So if I am at 10 days or if I've extended, I start getting more of those once my sensor is ready to go. Rarely, if ever, did any of those result in my needing to change the sensor before day 10. Whereas the Guardian 3 would tell me to change my sensor on a regular basis based on these errors. But then again, the good news was you could just restart the sensor and you didn't have to. Libre, I think I had one type of error. I think that it's probably the best one with errors. And the only time I ever had a problem, and it would tell me that I needed to wait 10 minutes before scanning again. It was when I was exercising and I had a really sudden change in direction in my blood sugar, along with a fast rise or fast fall or whatever it was. But it seemed to be that abrupt change in direction, and it would tell me, check again in 10 minutes. We're not sure what's going on here. Check again in 10 minutes. Senseonics was okay, except for all the calibration past dues, which I received 8,000 times a day. So not a lot of errors, but again, a lot of calibration requests. I'm never gonna get this into. All right, I can't believe how slow this is going, but I'm going to come back for following capability, frequency of updated value, insertion ease and comfort, overall ease of use, whether it can be used for treatment, warm up, applicator, inserter, check capability, and insurance. I'm gonna finish this tomorrow. I'm gonna be working on it all night. Go to sleep. Whatever. I'll be back. Bye.